Let's talk about the domain and range. You may recall that the domain is the input and the range is the output. Some of you may remember the domain as being the first coordinate of an ordered pair, or the x's, and the range as the second coordinate, or the y's. Let's look at this mapping. I'm going to rewrite this mapping as a set of ordered pairs. -4 is mapped to -1, 1 to 0, -3 to 3, and 5 to -2. The domain of this mapping is -4, 1, -3, and 5. It doesn't really matter which order you write these in, but I will just write them from smallest to largest. The range of this mapping is the output, or the second coordinate. I will have -1, 0, 3, and -2. Let's try another one. State the domain and range of the following function. We have a table of values of x and y's. My domain will be -2, -1, 0, 2, and 4. And the range will be -7, -5, -3, 1, and 5. Let's keep going. The domain for this function will be -3, -1, 1, and 2. And the range will be 0, 1, 4, and 16. Now we want to state the domain and range for this function. It's a graph. What x's are included on this graph? Well, if you notice, our line starts at x is equal to -1. But there is an open dot here, so it does not include -1, but that is where our line, our function, begins. All of these x's are included as I move to the right. They're all included, and they stop when x is equal to 4. So my domain will start at -1, which is less than the x's, which they are less than or equal to 4. If I wanted to write this in interval notation, my x's begin at -1, but they do not include -1, which is why I put a parentheses, and they go and go and go until 4, and at 4, the x's stop. They do include 4, so I will put a bracket. Now, what about the range? Okay, the range starts down here at -infinity, and my red line is not down here. My red line, my function, does not begin until here, which is y is equal to 0. Once again, notice it is an open dot, so it does not include 0. And then, as I keep going to positive infinity, I see that my y's keep going, but then they stop at y is equal to 5, and they do include 5. How do I write the answer? It begins at 0, which is less than my y's. That's the smallest y, and it goes up, up, up until 5. It does include 5, so I will say it's less than or equal to 5. How do I write this in interval notation? My range starts at 0. It goes and goes and goes until 5. It does not include 0, which is why I have a parentheses around the 0. But it does include 5, so I will put a bracket at 5. So my domain is -1 to 4, and it includes 4. I could also write it as -1 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 4. And my range starts at 0 and goes up to 5, and it does include 5. This is the same as 0 is less than y, which is less than or equal to 5.